My first involvement with the Silencer Crush was when I was over in the US, travelling around through my Nuffield scholarship, and I went to Kansas and met with John Mulhagen, the guy that designed these crushes. And my first impression after seeing it was they're ugly as sin. The crushes with the rubber louvers and hoses and everything all over it. But what I realised pretty early in the piece is that cattle aren't overly worried about cosmetics, and after looking into the design, it was pretty clear that John had a good understanding of cattle, and how to restrain them in a safe manner, and it's prevalent when you're working cattle through the Silencer Crush. Once one of the big things that I found after going into his manufacturing shop was the quality and grade of steel that he builds these things out of. They're going to last a lifetime, and talking to some of the ranchers over in the US, that was one of their major comments, was that they've got a crush that's 15 and 20 years old and still going strong, and so that basically sells itself. When we got back to Australia from travelling over in the US, I looked into how I was going to get one of these crushes imported, and that's how I became involved with the Catagua group. I met with Col Hammond, and he basically brought the crush in, our first crush, and it was one that we sent out to Supplejack in the Northern Territory, and my father was a little bit reluctant to try this crush, given that he's an old style cattleman, and he's pretty reluctant to try new technology. But after using the crush, it was only the first lot of cattle we ran through it. He was convinced, and convinced that way that he ended up buying a second crush. So we've got two in operation out in the Northern Territory, and back home here in Queensland, we've actually got two crushes here between our properties in Queensland as well. And probably one of the major things I've looked at into our business. We've got to look at doing things smarter and more efficient, given that I'm in a wheelchair now, and the crush, it addresses both welfare for our livestock, but also the welfare for our employees. And one of the major benefits having the rubber louvers on the crush is the fact that when cattle enter it, they can't see the person standing crush side. So whether it's my wife or my 7 and 9-year-old son operating the crush, they're not having to move up and down the race to increase the flow of cattle. So that's one of the major benefits. Once you start running cattle through these crushes, you can really see the difference between them and their competitors. I feel that we've increased our efficiency level probably with the Silencer Crush. The flow through of cattle and the easy side of operation.